Hey everybody, how's it going? Mr. Kies is back with some analysis videos. I'm in a new place. It's actually just over from that area, so it's not that far away. Today, we're going to be doing Animal Farm Chapter 2. A lot of shenanigans going on in this particular chapter, so let's talk about it. So the first thing that we have happen right out the gate in the chapter is Old Major, the older pig who is giving us all of the information in his dream and all these things about the revolution. He is dead. He actually died 3 nights after his initial meeting speech thing, so he is fully reinforcing his allegorical connection, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But don't worry, because his message and everything that he was hoping for has continued on through some of the younger pigs. 2 pigs specifically. We have Napoleon is one of those particular pigs, and then of course Snowball is the other pig. They picked some interesting names to go with. These 2 pigs, or really all the pigs together, were taking Old Major's ideas and turning them into this concept of animalism, this own little thought process, this own sort of message. Napoleon and Snowball seem to be the ringleaders, though. Napoleon is much more of a kind of gruff and not as well-spoken pig, whereas Snowball is much more of a speaker, and he's more of a communicator. And then, of course, you have a third pig that gets noticed or mentioned, which is Squealer. Squealer is like the talkative one who's very persuasive, and he likes to bounce around a little bit and persuade people, and is very good with his words. Those are our principal guys that are kind of organizing things together, in addition to the other pigs, really. These 3 principal pigs, right, Squealer, Snowball, Napoleon, they really do a massive job of trying to persuade all the other animals to continue on with the rebellion and answer some of the questions that they have. Molly is one of the ones, one of the animals, the mare, who seems to really be challenging a lot of these things, like, are we going to have ribbons? Are we going to have candy? Really wants those creature comforts that comes with having the humans around. And they have to kind of persuade her against it, but she doesn't seem to be pretty convinced, unfortunately. We'll see that as we come up later on. Another animal that's causing problems is Moses. He's the raven. He's telling the other animals about Sugar Candy Mountain, which is this place that you will go to after you die, which is this glorious place where you get candy at all places. And the pigs keep trying to tell everybody, no, this isn't true. This isn't what's going to happen. But the other animals are really persuaded by Moses' words. And again, it's another opportunity for Orwell to get some sneaky allegory in there. As it turns out, all that planning and all that thought and everything that was going into stuff really didn't matter too much, because Jones had himself an evening where he had a bit too much to drink. The men that worked for him were out doing other things, so they weren't really paying attention to the animals, weren't really treating them well. And in fact, the farm itself was just having all kinds of problems. And it was just too much for the animals to bear, and they started just attacking, right? Kicking in the fences, kicking in the gates. Whenever the handlers were trying to come take care of them, they just were beating them over and kicking them and driving them out. And eventually, they were able to drive out all of the men, including Mr. and Mrs. Jones and Moses tailing right behind, and the animals were able to overthrow the humans and take over the farm. To be honest, they were able to make it happen. No one really planned for it. It just, frustrations boiled over to the point of just, blah, and everything went. And that's how they were able to take it over. So after this big battle and everything, they actually start taking stuff out of the farm and taking stuff that had been used against the animals, and they started burning it and started getting rid of it. Even Boxer grabbed his stray hat, or his straw hat, right, and was like, threw it into the fire, because I'm not using this anymore. And they fully realized that they had control of everything. Like, they kicked their way into the house and started making their way through the Jones's house and going through everything, and someone kicked into the barrel of beer that had been made so that they couldn't drink anymore and stuff like that. And it was actually around this time that the pigs had revealed to the other animals that they taught themselves to read and write. And so they could actually read through things and were able to construct words and letters. And they had taken all these concepts, all these things that Old Major had been talking about, and all these elements of animalism that they'd been getting into, and they actually managed to make it into a set of rules that they called the 7 Commandments. 7 Commandments were pretty straightforward. Number 1, whatever goes on 2 legs is an enemy. Number 2, whatever goes on 4 legs or has wings is a friend. Number 3, no animal shall wear clothes. Number 4, no animal shall sleep in a bed. Number 5, no animal shall drink alcohol. Number 6, no animal shall kill another animal. And then number 7, all animals are equal. Now, these were very complicated rules. Not all of the animals were going to understand it, right? Not all the animals were as intelligent as the pigs. So they were able to break it down into a very short, kind of succinct sort of message, which is 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Very straightforward. The last thing we're left with in the particular chapter is realizing that they actually have to go to work. They have to work the farm, right? This is now going to be their farm. In fact, they named it. It's no longer Manor Farm. It is now Animal Farm. It is now theirs for them to control and take care of. But they're not just going to lazy around. They actually have to take care of things. This is now their farm, right? They are now the owners of it. So they start to take care of, like, getting the hay together and stuff like that. But first and foremost, remember, they're still animals. The cows need to be milked. They are very uncomfortable, so they milk the cows, right? Milk is this really important thing. It's actually something that they were never able to have, right? The humans just took it. And they never really figured out and settled what they were going to do with the milk, right? They thought about maybe mixing it with some mash or having it for the rest of the animals to have. But they never really settle in what happens and what they're going to do with the milk. And at the end of the chapter, it turns out the milk had actually disappeared. So we don't know what happens. I hit the mic. A mystery is afloat. Those of you that have already started reading chapter 3 knows exactly what happens to the milk. But that is how we end chapter 2. So, anytime we finish a chapter in Animal Farm, we've got to look at the allegorical connections. First and foremost, Old Major, he has died before the actual revolution. That to me screams Karl Marx or also Vladimir Lenin. Lenin died just after the revolution had started, but we don't really have a character that fills that role, so we'll stick Lenin in with Marx. But we can definitely say that Old Major is Karl Marx, the man himself who invented communism, came up with the ideas, and then his ideas were taken off with some of the other people in the Soviet Union to then make into what we would eventually see as being proper communism. Now, we see 2 principal figures that are working together, learning off of Marx/Lenin in Old Major, which is Napoleon, and it is Snowball. But we are not going to know exactly which one is which in terms of our allegories are concerned until a little bit later. Squealer, same thing. We've got to see exactly what he's up to. All we know right now is that they're taking those ideas that Old Major had come up with, Karl Marx, and turning those into its own separate set, which of course would be communism, right? Animalism, communism, there you go. We also see this character of Molly, who seems to not really want to let go of whatever the humans have going on. We're going to see that a little bit further, but Molly is going to be a character that we're going to need to pay close attention to. Boxer is another character that we're going to need to pay close attention to because, as you can see, Boxer has really been following along with what's going on and really sticking with the pigs and really listening to their ideas. And you saw how quickly he took that straw hat and threw it into the fire as soon as he realized, oh, that's something that the humans used on us. I ain't about it. Good stuff. The battle itself, right, of taking over the manor, that is the first major conflict that the Soviets, specifically the Bolsheviks, and the ruling class or the czars have. Remember, there was a couple of skirmishes that had happened in order for this initial sort of takeover to occur, and this is the first one. That first battle is actually known as the February Revolution, where we first have workers in Petrograd, which is a city in the Soviet Union, first kind of rallying against everything and rioting basically throughout the streets. Tsar Nicholas tried to get the army to come in and take things over. Didn't work. They were actually able to get the czars and the royal family out of the house and basically took everything over. And this was now in the hands of the workers. So the first revolution out of the way, taken care of. And we also get to see that the pigs have taught themselves English. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, or at least taught themselves how to read and write. But the February Revolution now occurs in Animal Farm. And then, of course, we get to see them kind of taking things over and starting stuff up. But already, we're starting to see the seeds of some of our characters. Molly, Boxer, Snowball, Napoleon, Squealer, Moses, who we knew to be like kind of the spy for Mr. Jones. But we're starting to see some interesting things, especially him talking about Sugar Candy Mountain, which has very much a vibe of like, you do things well in the living world and you'll be rewarded in the afterlife. Very similar to some of the messages that you see in Christianity. Stalin and Trotsky were not really big fans of Christianity, especially the Russian Orthodox Church, because very corrupt in the church. They did whatever the Tsar told them to do. They were very much about keeping people peaceful and not wanting to rebel against what they had now, because there was something to look forward to in the future. It's a really good way of controlling some of the innocent people, or the people that could potentially take over the country, that sort of thing. That gets us into some of the other deeper things that are occurring in this chapter, because this chapter is really setting up how the rest of the story is going to go, especially with a couple key points. Big one is the fact that the pigs can read and write. The other animals on the farm cannot. So automatically, the pigs are more intelligent, so to speak, than the other animals on the farm. Having the capability of reading and writing, they can kind of control information a little bit. Especially if other animals don't know what's being written, they can tell them what's being written, which has a very dangerous sort of thing. You guys will remember Fire and the Puppets, right? Or the Allegory of the Cave, right? They tell them what this is, so they control the information, right? It's too easy to manipulate a group of individuals if you can control how they absorb information and what is right and what is wrong, what is being written, what isn't being written. Really important to keep that in mind. Although it's entirely possible that the other animals actually teach, or that the pigs actually teach the other animals. I think we're going to see that attempt actually happen here coming up. The other thing, too, is the milk. What happened to the milk? Now, that's going to get solved for us early on in Chapter 3. So I have a feeling that a lot of you guys already know what's going to happen to that milk. All right? In fact, you probably were able to predict it beforehand. But I don't want to spoil it too soon for you guys. Well, might as well spoil it. I'll give you a hint. The pigs took it. Yeah, the pigs take the milk. They mix it in with apples, and they give a reason for it. We'll talk more about it in Chapter 3. Okay, but the milk goes to the pigs, and that is one of our first major actions of inequality that we see on the farm. All right, we've already got rule number 7, just not going so great. Okay, if the pigs are able to get something that the rest of the animals aren't able to get, that's a problem. Now, we may have had the February Revolution, but those of you guys that were paying attention knew that there were 2 major conflicts that had happened between the Tsars and the Bolsheviks. And we've got another one happening. We've got another one that's going to happen. So we're going to have to see how that turns out. We also want to see really what's going to go on with the other animals on the farm and how things go. Obviously, we know that the pigs have the ability to read and write. They have more knowledge. They know more than the other animals. So we'll have to see how that sort of sorts out and figures out as we go along. We're already seeing some of the levels of inequality with the milk, so we're going to see how that filters out as well and how it sorts through. I have a feeling that not all of the animals that we've seen so far are going to stick around, to be completely honest. Molly doesn't seem entirely up on what's going on here. Obviously Moses took off, right? And we know that at some point that we're going to have some disagreements with those that were under Marx and Lenin when we first had the revolution. So I have a feeling that Snowball and Napoleon are not going to play together too well for too long. So we'll have to see how that sorts out. In the meantime, discussion question time. Here we go. All right, discussion question time. It is going to be a forms assignment, so make sure you're looking out for that. Question number 1. How really significant is it that the pigs ended up getting the milk? I know this is kind of a chapter 2, chapter 3 sort of thing, but how significant is that the pigs are automatically getting that milk? And getting something that the rest of the animals aren't going to get. How significant is that? How much of an impact do you think that's going to have? And then question 2, how big of an impact do you think that the difference in education is going to have as time progresses? Do we think that the pigs are actually going to educate the other animals on the farm? Are they even capable of being educated, right? Do we think that some of the pigs aren't going to educate and some of them will, right? What's going to happen there? And really, what's going to be the long-standing effects if that educational difference that the pigs have over the other animals, how significant is that going to be as time goes on? I want you to really think about both of those and give some detailed answers for me. Anyways, this is probably the awkwardest thing ever. I don't know how great this looks, but it's fun anyways. So, Ramona and I are excited that you guys are enjoying Animal Farm. Hopefully you guys are having a good time with it. That concludes Chapter 2. We've got way more Animal Farm coming your way. Ramona, how do you feel about the animals on the farm? Are you excited for them? She's really heavy. She's super heavy. Ugh. Ramona. Hi, Boo. You want to go down? Oh God. Oh no. Oh jeez. Ah. Please don't. Please don't kick me out of the house. Also, don't bite me later. Thank you. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. Have a great rest of your day. I miss everybody. I'm sorry that we can't do live lessons this week, but we'll make sure to get right back at it. And hopefully, I can see you guys in person soon. But until then, take care of yourselves. Have a good time. Don't go chasing waterfalls. That's always something to keep in mind. And I love and care about all you guys. Take it easy, and we'll see you guys later.